Please let me announce the session will start at 1:30. Now we are on the registration and preparation for the technical. And all speakers will speak in English, and we also have 3 pages for different language channel. For Pracha Thai will be in English, Lanner will be in Thai, and Burma Concern will be in Burmese. And if anyone of you here need interpreter, we have the device here for Burmese and Thai. For now, you can, if you would like to share our page, Burma Concern, Lanner, or Pracha Thai, you can share on our page for more public. Thank you so much. We will start in 5 minutes. Um, there will be other two speakers are coming, but we already have three. And before we start, I would like to invite you to share the pages in your Facebook for other people can follow on the page. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ariwan Sombun Wattanakul from Burma Concern. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining our event today. And thank you, Faculty of Social Science, Regional Center for Sustainable Development, RCSD at Chiang Mai University, that provide us the venue today. Today, as the occasion of 37 years of the event 8888 in Myanmar, and today we have very honored speakers with us, and we would like to listen from different generations, not only 888, but now we have different generations that have been contributing for movements in Myanmar. And today, for the opening speech, I would like to invite Ajaan Chayan Vaddhanaphuti from RCSD to give us his insights and sharing for his perspective. เชิญอาจารย์ค่ะ
Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you here, my dear friends and colleagues. You know about Sirada, who is another speaker, and there are other speakers that will join us today. It is both a privilege and some kind of a responsibility to open this important seminar on from 1988 to 2021, the past and present. What can we learn from the past and from planning for our future? This seminar is about the unique political history of Myanmar, and to me it's also a political intellectual movement which are shaping its future. We are gathering here not only as scholars, students, activists, but also as individuals deeply committed to understanding and contributing to the journey of a nation that has long struggled for justice, peace, federalism, and democracy. Myanmar's political history is one of the complexities, resistance, and resilience from the colonial culture, the anti-colonial movements, to long years of military rules, the 888 uprising, the Saffron Revolution, and the more recent Spring Revolutions. Each generation has carved out its own forms of political agencies, often in the face of enormous repression and atrocities. But this workshop is not only about the past of our suffering, the past of our nightmare, but it's also about the possibilities for the future, I hope. It is about the difficult questions. How do we reimagine Myanmar as a federal democratic union that respects dignities, aspiration of all its people? Burma, Karen, Karenni, Kachin, Shan, Rohingya, Shin, Mon, Daang, Danu, and etc., etc. What forms of political imagination and solidarity are emerging from youth movements, women's resistance, diaspora network, and ethnic revolutionary organization? How can we build upon the diverse struggles for justice, not as fragmented histories, but as shared struggles toward a more inclusive and peaceful Myanmar? So this workshop is also, to me, is a space of listening, a space for exchange, and share each other's histories, pains, hopes, and strategies. In doing so, we challenge the dominant narrative that have often silenced the voices of ethnic minorities, rural communities, and those resisting from the margins. I wish this seminar is successful. I wish it's served as a platform that gives you some thoughts and facilitate you to imagine on how we can work together in building the road to inclusivity of Myanmar, the road to peace and prosperity of the people of this beloved country. Just to remind you that RCSD, under the Faculty of Social Science, we have been working to support friends, colleagues, and people of Myanmar in their effort to build their road to democracy and inclusivity. I hope that these efforts will play some part in your efforts to imagine and make your imagination become true. Please be reminded that a year from now we will organize the 5th International Conference on Burma Myanmar Studies at Chiang Mai University. It will be the 5th one. We start the first one in 2015, but this year is 2025, 10 years. But next year will be the 5th one. So we hope that we can continue this kind of collaboration and exchange among different generations of people from Myanmar. Thank you very much, but also please accept my apologies. I have to attend another seminar downstairs with the students from China and from Thailand. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ajaan. Thank you for your long commitment, standing, and inspiration for all of us, not only Myanmar and also Thai and our international people. Thank you so much, Ka. And please let me announce we have live streaming on 3 pages. In English, we live on Prachathai page. In Thai, we live on Laner page. And in Burmese, we live on Burma Concern. And if you in this room can share also the Facebook on your personal Facebook, that would be very helpful for us to share our knowledge today. And as Ajaan mentioned today, the seminar is on from 1988 to 2021, the past, the present, what we can learn from for the future. And today we also have the different other guests, and we have also our moderator, Kun Pimsiri Petchnamrob, and she's already with us here. And please welcome to Kun Muk Naka, and then she will moderate for the next session. Thank you very much.
Okay, good afternoon, and hope we had good lunch and then also good coffee. And for the next session, so the whole seminar is on the theme of from 1988 to 2021, the past and present, and what we can learn for the future. And the first session, we will start with the Myanmar-Burma political histories from 1988 till 2021, relationships and impacts to Thailand. And this one will be presented by Ajaan Sirada Khemmanitthathai from the Faculty of Political Science and Public Administration, Chiang Mai University. So not to waste the time, I will just give the floor to Ajaan Sirada for the first session.
Thank you, Kun Pimsiri, for introducing me. And I think for this topic, maybe you can also have some inputs on that, like how, as a political activist in Thailand, quite a famous one in Thailand, how do you see the movement inside Myanmar, and what you got, maybe the kind of the lessons or inspiration as well. So, sorry now, I will bring you into the conversation as well. Okay, so can you open the slide, please? So basically, I don't have anything much on the slide, but mostly the photos. So next slide, please. So today, we mark 37 years of the 1988 uprising in Myanmar, one of the most critical moments in Myanmar political history, which sparked widespread resistance against military rule. The echoes of that movement continue to resonate today, as we also find ourselves in the 5th year of the Spring Revolution in Myanmar, an ongoing struggle for freedom, genuine democracy, of course, the phrase of federal democracy that's been mainstreaming after the 2021, and they also call for justice and inclusiveness among different gender, different ethnicities, different religions as well. So both of these political movements share common goal: resistance against the military regime. The post-2021 political movement go beyond even more than that, even only mere the opposition. The Spring Revolution has touched upon the root causes of Myanmar's protracted political crisis and aimed to break the vicious cycle of oppression and military control. However, the 8888 uprising, which ignited a flame of hope in the hearts of millions, remains a source of inspiration. The courage and determination of those who took to the streets in 1988 continue to fuel the current movement. We also see the involvement of the 88 generation in the current political landscape and the younger generation's revolution as well. And for us, sorry, I will slow down. Thank you. So we also see the involvement of the 88 generation in the current political landscape and the younger generation's revolution. As well as also, I think we, as Thai people, we can also learn from the political history of Myanmar, our beloved neighboring country. So my presentation will be in 3 sections. First section, let me begin by bringing you back to the history briefly. I know that many of you already know about what happened back in 1988, 1987, 1988, but as today is the day that to memorize what happened back in 1988. So please let me repeat that again here. So in the photo, you can see that this is the photo from 1988 uprising. Like many people, of course, it's led by the student movement in Yangon, but it's not only happened among students from Yangon University, but also many students, people, and also from different cities. So if we look back in 1988, Burma, under the military dictatorship of General Ne Win, was under an economic crisis. The country's economic control was rooted in the Burmese way to socialism, a system that led to corruption, mismanagement, and a growing sense of discontent. The military regime had already been in power for more than 2 decades, consolidating its rules through violence and repression. I may skip the slide to the, can you skip next one? I will just repeat the political history first. Next one, please. Next, another one, sorry. Yes, yeah. So yeah, I was talking about the Ne Win regime, right? So the turning point came in 1987 when Ne Win's government demonetized a significant portion of the country's currency, devastating the savings of millions of Burmese citizens. This act, along with the growing dissatisfaction, set the stage for mass protests. The first protests, which were initially student-led, began to spread across the country, particularly in Yangon. By March 1988, protests were escalating. What began a small clash at a local tea shop in Yangon quickly turned into larger demonstration. The government's response was violent. And can you turn back to the photo with the riot? Yes, the government response was violence, with riot police opening fire on students, killing several. As news from the crackdown spread, more people joined the protest, turning what was initially a student movement into a nationwide uprising. On 8 August 1988, the protests reached their peak, with hundreds of thousands of people taking to the streets, demanding an end to military rule and calling for the establishment of a multi-party democracy. This mass protest, known as 888 Uprising or Shit Le Long, was the largest public demonstration in Myanmar since its independence in 1948. As the protests grew, so did the military violence. The Burmese military began to fire upon demonstrators, resulting in deaths of thousands. Despite this brutal crackdown, the movement continued to grow, with political leaders like Aung San Suu Kyi, emerging as key figures. Can you change the slide to Aung San Suu Kyi? And on 26 August 1988, Suu Kyi addressed a massive crowd of over 500,000 people urging for democratic reforms. So you already know that the military response to the uprising was swift and ruthless. By September 1988, the military, led by a new commander, Somong, took control of the government again, forming the SLOC, or State Law and Order Restoration Council. This coup in 1988 marked the return to full military rule, putting an end to the short-lived hope for democratic change. Despite the military grips on power, the legacy of 88 uprising did not fade. The NLD became the focal point of the opposition. In 1990, the regime reluctantly held elections with many restrictions on law and practices. The NLD won a landslide victory, securing 80% of the parliamentary seats. However, the military junta refused to recognize the results, and the regime remained in power for another 2 decades. 88 uprising was not just a call for political reform, it was a fight for the fundamental right of the people to have a say in their future. It marks a significant moment in Myanmar's struggle for democracy, with students, activists, and the general public challenging the regime. Although the military crushed the uprising, the seeds of resistance had been planted. The 88 uprising remains a pivotal moment in Myanmar modern history, a symbol of the courage and resilience of the Burmese people in their ongoing struggle for freedom and democracy. Yes, so now I want to move to the most recent Spring Revolution in after 2021. It's the same photo that you showed to my student. I used the same photo. So the post-2021 Spring Revolution in Myanmar is unprecedented in many ways. A notable change among the younger activists involved in civil disobedience movement is their open recognition of the past mistakes. They are now pushing for more inclusive and representative political system, and even apologizing for the earlier disregard of the sufferings experienced by many ethnic people, even Rohingya. So this shift has broadened the political conversation in Myanmar to be more inclusive, even not in practice or in concrete way yet, but at least we can see some political conversation mainstreaming about the inclusiveness and justice among different ethnicities, and it become the main political rhetoric shaping the political ideology among resistant groups after 2021. So if we look back after the coup conducted by Min Aung Hlaing, next we can see a lot of nationwide movement that has united diverse groups in peaceful demonstration. Next slide, please. Yeah, that you can see a lot of strategies conducted by people to demonstrate, with younger generation, particularly also the Burma youth, embracing new political idea as well. Next, please. Yeah, see, here is the nationwide. In February 2021 until early March 2021. And next. And during that time, like, also many people ask, like, how much 88 generation really influenced the movement of the people, the demonstration of people. I think even it's not directly influenced, but the seeds that already planted in the political mind of Burmese and Burma people has something to push them out of the street and demonstrate. So yeah, they have different strategy, even include the silent strike. Yeah, and you can see the involvement of women and Gen Z young people as well. And even they embrace new political ideas such as federalism, power sharing, and inclusiveness, which unprecedented in Myanmar history, especially among Burma people. Next slide, please. Yes, yeah. So we haven't seen this before. So post 2021 is something new in terms of Burma people adopting the new ideology from what ethnic people have been fighting before. So we found armed student group with collaboration with certain ethnic armed groups back in post-88, but there have been more people engaging in revolution these days and more engagement of ethnic armed organizations. The protests quickly escalate from peaceful demonstrations into a full-scale revolution, facing brutal crackdowns by the military. Young people from cities, ethnic groups, workers, and professionals joined armed forces to challenge the junta. Certain ethnic armed groups played a vital role, but not only providing military training, but also offering strategic leadership and spreading the political idea. Many become ethnic resistance organizations, being front lines of the revolutions. You can see by 2023 and 24, the revolutionary forces had made unprecedented gains from the military regime, especially on the territory control. This level of coordination was far more robust than anything seen in Myanmar modern politics. Of course, there are lots of fragmentation, a lot of challenging among resistant groups to reach genuine democracy and justice. But their spirit to resist against the dictatorship is what we can't disregard. So if we look over our recent political history since 1988 until today, we can see that Myanmar politics has been in vicious cycle. Next slide. This is the flash mob last year. And next slide, please. This is the territorial control that you can see there are a lot of contestation between the military regime and the resistant groups. Next, please. Oh, sorry. Can you back to the cycle of political history? Okay. Yeah, you can do. Yeah, this one can be. This one can do. So if you look at the overall recent political history since 1988 until today, we can see that they move around the vicious cycle. They cannot move away really from the dictatorship or authoritarianism. There seemed to be some kind of democratization in 2010, but because of the transition being controlled by the regime, so it cannot get away from the dictatorship. At the end, you can see why there's coup in 2021, right? Because even the transition is not from the people, it's under the control. And the 2008 constitution even allowed the military regime to be in the politics, in Myanmar politics officially. They kind of like the permission for them to be in the politics. So we have to get away from this vicious cycle. So, but I know, like, okay, as an outsider, as a friend from neighboring country, we cannot really help in practice, but we have to ask ourselves as well that how we should support the people, the Myanmar people, in breaking this vicious cycle and move forward to genuine democracy, move forward to the real revolution in politics. So, yeah, the new nation building, new governance, and as Ajaan Chayan has mentioned about kind of like the political reimagination, right? This is, I think, what Thai people and even Thai state actors still cannot think about that, still cannot imagine about how we can see the new Myanmar, the new governance of Myanmar, or the new political system of Myanmar. I think we should find a way to support people and people resistance. Am I still having time? Okay, yeah. So I will briefly also talk about the history after the 1988 demonstration and impact on Thailand. So as a close neighbor and key stakeholder, Thailand cannot escape the impacts of Myanmar crisis. So we have felt the effects of the situation in Myanmar, with one of the most visible consequences being the migration of people from Myanmar into Thailand. So you can see we have to face a lot of impacts from Myanmar because of the crisis in Myanmar, traditional security and all types of non-traditional security. But I would emphasize the migration from Myanmar to Thailand. So you know that many Karen and Chan people had led had fled to Thailand for a long time, and the 88 uprising created another flow of migration from Myanmar. So after that, Thailand became a refuge for thousands of political dissidents, including student activists. Although Thailand recognized their need for protection, Thailand was really reluctant to grant them full refugee status like today. But at that time, that's something different from today. So Thai government allowed the UNHCR to register refugees and provided basic services. Many of them were initially housed at the Maniloy Center in Ratchaburi province. This is a designated camp that opened in 1992 under Thailand's Anand Panyarachun administration. In response to growing political activities, particularly in Bangkok, so that's why Thailand wanted to create a safe area, in quotation mark though. Yeah. However, as time went on, the government increasingly restricted political activities and tightened its policy on refugees, especially political dissidents from Myanmar, limiting their freedom and access to resettlement. The situation became more complex in the late 1990s, especially after the 1999 embassy siege by Burmese dissidents and the hospital siege in Ratchaburi. So these events led to heightened security measures and worsened public sentiment in Thailand. Despite initial sympathy for the refugee causes, the violence prompted stricter government controls. By 1999, Thai government announced the closure of Maniloy Center, and the refugees were resettled in third country or sent to refugee camp Tham Hin camp. By 2002, the Maniloy Center was officially closed. And if we compare to today, after 2021, so the migration from Myanmar to Thailand has been more complicated. Thailand doesn't have a specific channel for political refugees, and the situation is even worse than before. So Myanmar people are affected by the political crisis, and it's hard to distinguish forcibly displaced people from economic migrants. You can see that there are so many Myanmar political exiles from 2021 Spring Revolution, including politicians, including CDMers and political activists. They have to live in Thailand using various survival methods. Some live without any documents, but have to bribe the local officers, making them vulnerable to exploitation in daily life. Many have to register as migrant workers, obtaining pink card and work permits for their survival. They have to de-skill themselves in the Thai registration system. So this is also the loss of human resources as well. And even high-skilled professionals and Myanmar students are also part of this migration. They are seeking job or education in Thailand for better opportunities. However, the crisis in Myanmar pushed them to leave. Students have to face an education crisis, while middle-class people face an economic crisis and unsafety in their lives. The most important drivers in this case is the forced conscription, started last year. As you know, anyone in the age range of 18 to 35 years is at risk of being conscripted. So many Myanmar middle class also, they have to come to Thailand, and they have mixed motivation of coming here to Thailand. And this is also the direct impact of Thailand that we get from the political crisis in Myanmar. And you see that Thailand has been really passive to the situation in Myanmar. The foreign policy, even in 1988, Thailand had used the concept of constructive engagement, and even after 2021, they also stick on the principle of non-interference in Myanmar's internal affairs. So they kind of like reluctant to provoke the military regime, and we also have our own instability in politics. This has further weakened the foreign policy or even migration policy as well. There's no cohesive and comprehensive policies on these issues. And Thailand's role towards Myanmar, they kind of like lean towards promoting so-called negative peace. They focus on the ceasefires and reducing violence without addressing the root cause of the conflict or advocating for political justice and democratic reforms. This approach falls short, especially when Myanmar is in the midst of Spring Revolution and nationwide resistance forces pushing for fundamental change in the political system. The question is, can Thailand move beyond supporting the regime's sham elections and help break the vicious cycle of Myanmar politics? Yeah, so now we know that Thailand is going to support the election in Myanmar happen in either December or January. So we have to do something more about that, also as Thai people as well. So at the end, I would say that the Spring Revolution and the 88 uprising in Myanmar are not only powerful political movement itself in Myanmar, but also a source of transnational inspiration. While it may have gone beyond the scope of Thailand's own political movement in recent years, our political movement cannot really compare to what happened in Myanmar. So we really respect we really respect Myanmar people in the demonstration, in the revolution. It is a testament to the enduring spirit of resistance. As we watch this revolution unfold, it challenges us in Thailand to reflect our own struggle. Have we fought hard enough? Have we resisted enough? Are we strong enough in our pursuit of true justice and change? Just as Myanmar revolution sparked hope, it reminds us of the ongoing need for spirit and action in our own journey towards a more just and democratic future, even in Thailand. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ajaan Sirada, for actually perfect reflections for the first part. Since so you started with the struggles, the uprising in 1988, and then you move forward to the struggles and ongoing struggles since 88 up until 2021 and up until now. And the last part, I find it very interesting because it seems like our own struggles also has certain kind of effects on the foreign policies and also migration policies as well. So that's the thing when you talk about transnational inspiration. I think it comes to the point that transnational movement is going to be the answer as well, because I'm sure like you have your own struggle, we have our own struggle, but then it's kind of pushing back and forth, it affecting each other. So the only way I see is that we have to work together towards a more just and democratic future in both countries. So that's how I kind of see what you gave your perspective and reflections, and you timed it perfectly, like half an hour perfectly. Thank you. And then we move to the second session, not to waste time, and the next one is going to be political movement in Myanmar, Burma, lesson learned, implication for the futures from different perspectives. And we now have Kin Omar, the veteran and legendary activist from the 1988 generation. Please correct me if I pronounce your name wrong. Luoi Mau Nun Tang activist, is that correct? Okay. And Ong Phon Mo from the University of Yangon Students Union. So we have the legend from 88 generation. I met you first time 20 years ago. I was super young. 18 years ago. I was super young back then. Now I'm kind of middle-aged woman, which is fine. We are in the same generation right now. So that's how long we have known each other. And okay, we also have a Tang activist representing ethnic community as well as the young generation, the so-called Gen Z, with us today. So let's start with the first question. So this question is actually for all the three speakers. So how do we do it? So I ask one question and then you kind of give the answer one by one, right? Before we move to the next question. Okay. So the first question is how the 88 legacy actually has lived on for you personally, and if applicable, to your generation and to your Ta'ang community as well. So how it has been certain kind of live on or legacy. I mean, for you yourself. Who's gonna start first? Okay, who's gonna start?
Thank you. Before I start, may I actually invite Non and Ampumyat here also? Since Ajaan already left, three of us can be here. Could you please come? It's not so much really to line up the generations, you know what I mean? And Muk, thanks for bringing up the long connection between two of us. And you're very right. You are so young, but you are still very young. So. You're still very young. Good afternoon, everyone. You guys okay now? Yeah. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and I really appreciate the Ajaan Chayan's leadership and Ajaan Chayan's leadership, the RCSD, Chiang University, and the Burma Concern. I really keep trying to provide space for such exchanges as we are gathering today, especially on this very historical day in Burma, Myanmar's long struggle for democracy. Particularly, also personally, it's a very significant day for me in my personal life. I actually started my student activism in March. As Ajaan Ning talked about, the student protest started up from the tea shop fight, which was on March 12th, and then on March 13th, there was the first crackdown on the Rangoon Institute of Rangoon Technology Institute University campus on March 13, which killed one student, Gopakmo, on the spot, and another, Gosonai, wounded severely, and then a few ended up in basically being arrested. The campus was rounded up and locked down by the military. That university campus is not far from my university campus, which is the Rangoon Arts and Science University. So the very first day of my student activism was on March 16, known as the Red Bridge Day. Those of you who are not familiar with the Red Bridge Day, just type Red Bridge Day, March 16, 1988. You will see that was the very first student from the first day of the student from Rangoon Arts and Science University march came out of the campus and marched on the street when we got trapped on one side by the military and one side by the riot police, where we had to escape, try to run, and like a few hundreds got arrested. I was very fast running, Mook. Now if you look at me, you wouldn't believe it, but I was very fast, seriously. So I actually escaped. But that is the day that really changed my whole life, from being a very simple university student, never really connected to any political ideology, but really my whole world really changed by then. To see that, first it's like really questioning why they had to do what they did to us. I just couldn't give that answer, but with that rage and anger, I was already, by the night when I got back home, I got to the point of like, I'm going to look for that answer. Why did they have to do that? That was completely unjust. It's violent. I was holding a pencil in my hand to defend myself. I didn't have anything that you guys had during 2020-21 to defend yourselves with other things, including helmets and things. I had only one pen in my hand. So the question actually for three of us to respond is how the 8888 legacy has lived on for our personally, like in our personal life. I have to say from that on, it really lived on every day of my life. Until now, everything that I do in every single day of my activism, I'm already 57 years old. 37 years of this activism. I never took a pause. I never took a break. Even during the times of my study in the university in United States, I didn't stop. So every day of my life was influenced and guided by this 8888 spirit, in which it turned my life, it changed my life, where I believe in that what I need to do in life is no longer a university professor, which I dreamed when I was young, but it's going to be to fight for the justice, to fight for democratic change in my country. And that's what guided me throughout my life. I have to tell you very honestly, there were times that I almost collapsed. I felt completely lonely in that little activist world, especially when I go to the US. So far away from the university, I'm so far away from home and family, and there were no internet, no Wi-Fi, no Facebook. My family had no clue where I was. I almost collapsed, especially during the time while I was in the jungle, crossed the border from Thailand side in Three Pagoda Pass in Sangkalaburi, Southern. But I had to really keep reminding myself and keep rising up, and keep rising up. Telling myself that I didn't leave my home just to go back home to reunite with my mom and my family. I left my home telling my mom that I will bring about the democratic change to my country. When I left home, I told my mother, "Don't worry, mother, only 3 months maximum, I'll be back home with the victory." Well, after 37 years, there is a whole new generation following. But this is how also I learned throughout that a struggle to change a system could take forever, could take all of our life. And I think that also, for me, that path has been guided by the 8888 as well, because I could never forget those people that you show in the photo, or my friends who died from torture in insane and Tarawadi prisons. So for me, it's like never give up. It's not about what you will see at the end of your life. It's about what you're doing is right. And that's what is the guiding principle of my life. When I was in the US, even during the school years, I was invited by this group, that group, Amnesty International, of this university, that university. I traveled across United States, Canada, and even coming back to Asia, to like Korea and Japan, to really expose the military regime's violence and the human rights violations they are doing to our people, with the aim to mobilize the grassroots solidarity movement, transnational, cross-boundary, in Asia and beyond. So like in US and Canada, there was a Free Burma Coalition movement. It's a very grassroots across the nation, where the Amnesty International, environmental activists, the church and faith-based groups, even the elementary school students who I went to spoke to them. After I left, as their teachers informed me later, they told their parents, "Stop buying Pepsi Cola in our birthday parties," because they support the Myanmar military, the Burmese military, who killed their people. And they wrote to the Secretary General of the United Nations, telling the Secretary General, "You must stop this Myanmar military killing the people." And that's how the vibrant movement, the grassroots movement across the globe that I was involved. Actually also, in my activism, after I left Thailand and reached into this bigger world, because we were in the very close society in Burma, when we march on the streets that you saw the photo, for example, we didn't know what is happening to the outside world. Like in the Philippines, the dictator Marcos was already toppled down by the People Power movement in 1986. I had no clue. We didn't know.
But then, like, as I came, outside the country and reach out and try to really expand my knowledge and understanding, then I really realized that, well, that is this whole movement that people are trying to topple the military dictatorships, even in South America, right? So I had to learn so much of that. And then I really try, like, every day, sometimes I actually spoke like 7 to 8 times, 7 to 8 times a day on the same thing again and again. It's just that I moved from one university to another church to talk about this people's struggle. At one point, my university professors asked me to come and told me, you're going to fail. You're not going to graduate. If you go in this way, if you keep going out of the campus and keep touring, talking about Burma across here and there, you are not going to graduate, Kenomar. I said, let's see. I did graduate, but I didn't stop my activism. And I was very meticulous with my plan to return to Burma if the country opened up. But if not, to return to the Thai-Burma border, thanks to the Thailand and Thai people and the government of Thailand, I was able to come back. And I joined the movement on the Thai-Burma border. And my activism and advocacy during the United States time, it's not only about the 8888 struggle anymore, I have to tell you. It expanded because when I reached into the jungle, I realized by then the struggle of the non-Burma ethnic nationalities communities, like the Karen, the Mon, the Kachin, the Shan. Only then I learned that they are struggle that I had no clue, being the Buddhist Burma majority. Even though I live under the oppressive military system, I didn't realize that system itself was still giving me some privilege as belonging to the Buddhist Burma majority. I only learned that I was a privileged person even under the military's oppressive system, even when I got into the jungle, when I come to meet with the Mon and ethnic young people who are struggling so hard, also by their previous generations for ethnic equality and self-determination. So my thinking of this, what guide me, is already expanded from 8888 to the ethnic people struggle, because I see that's the only way if we want to achieve a sustainable peace and solution to Myanmar, Burma, is when we have the ethnic, non-Burma ethnic nationalities having the equal stake in the union, when they have the rightful role, not for the Buddhist Burma majority to give them their rights, because they have their rights already with them. And in fact, it's the military and the Burmanization system that has deprived of their rights or robbed their rights and imposed the violence on them. So I think being constantly mindful of that, my activism, that's what drove me all the way. So I just want to end here, because this is really where all of my daily life until now, I would say. And I think that's sometimes it's just give me more strength. Sometimes it gives me worry as I get age, I would say. Thank you.
First, of course, thank you, Auntie Kilma, for providing us with really, a first-hand experience. I think we all learn so much from your talk, and I certainly do learn much. And for me, I wasn't even born yet when the 88th revolution happened. I wasn't even born yet, so I can only at most give and make a historical reflection. The 88th revolution is certainly, of course, one of the most pivotal events in the history of our country. And if we look at the post-independence history of Burma, most of the defining social movements of our history started to happen roughly beginning from 1962. There we had the 7th July student uprising in 1962. Then in 1974, we had what is called Utan funeral crisis. Then in 1976, we had the sanitary event for the King Gurumai's birthday. Then finally, we had the People's Democratic Uprising of 1988. This is the one that we are commemorating right now. But it didn't stop there. In the aftermath of 1988, there was again an upsurge of student activism in 1996. Then in 2007, we had the Saffron Revolution. Then in 2015, we had this long march of students for democratic education. And the list goes on up to the present day of the Spring Revolution. Now, of course, this sporadic repetition of social movements in our history, their historical importance cannot be overstated. And in fact, it is only for this repetition of social movements in our history that the political will of the public, the political will of our people can be properly expressed. For our people couldn't have expressed their political will any other way around, except by social mobilization, except by putting themselves at risk onto the streets. So, and in fact, it is true for the most part, if we talk about the post-independence history of Burma, one cannot express one's own political will except by social mobilization and social movements. It remains the primary way and the only way possible to do so. Now, and of course, the political will of our people expressed throughout history, it has been clear enough. It is simply the fact that they do not want to live under any forms of authoritarianism. And more than anything, they want freedom. They want to have greater control over their own lives. And of course, self-determination, of course. And there's another observation that I like to make. It's this repetition of social movements in our history. It tells something very important about ourselves. For me, it's simply the fact that we, as a people, are condemned to be free. We are condemned to be free. Now, I use this phrase in a slightly different manner than that of the French philosopher, the Jean-Paul Sartre. We are condemned to be free precisely because to seek freedom, to desire freedom, it's not in itself a joyful matter. I think your experience is also a testament to that. Because when you seek freedom, when you desire freedom, it requires you to change fundamentally the way in which you relate to the world. It requires you to think differently, act differently, and in the end, it always requires you to take action, and the action is always hard and strenuous action, and most of the time dangerous actions. And our history proves just that. So many of us, brave young people, have already given their lives in the pursuit of freedom and democracy in our country. So I think this is the tragic lesson of history, that freedom is ultimately not free. Freedom is ultimately not free. We have to give a price. But if we look again closely at each of the historical instances where our people were faced or confronted with a choice between freedom and submission, our people would always go for freedom. They would always choose freedom. And every time they choose freedom, they do so in a clear conscience and in a clear knowledge that this choice of freedom may in fact hurt them in many ways, may in fact entail their own personal destruction. And it is in this precise sense that I say we are condemned to be free, that we are bound to choose freedom in the end, even if in our knowledge we are all too conscious that this choice may entail our own personal destruction. In fact, I think our history teaches us that this is in fact the only possible way the choice of freedom can be made. And I think this is how the 88 revolution and all the other social movements have historically lived on for me, and hopefully for my generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, organizer, and also Ajaan Chayan, especially Ajaan Chayan. So Ajaan Chayan, he is working for Myanmar long time ago. So he protected the activists, Myanmar activists, a lot. We couldn't count how many activists were, how to say, protected by Ajaan Chayan and RCSD. So we couldn't count. So many, many, many. So that's why I like to count the, how to say, Jesutia benefit of Ajaan Chayan. Thank you so much. Ajaan Chayan go chama basi sutang mare. I pray every day Ajaan Chayan to be healthy, and because of whenever he met with me, so he told me, "No, now I am old. No, please don't tell about your age or your situation. So please let it this. So we need you, and we need RCSD, we need Chiang University, and also we need the Thai activists, including our APA. You know, so she worked for Myanmar long time ago. So I think I met with her since 2013, early 2013. So at that time we all are young, no? So young. Now, not young. So as the moderator question that. So my name is Lui Monung. I forgot to introduce myself. My full name is Lui Monung. Everybody knew of me like as known. When I was in urban area and city, so most of the, how to say, the people from the urban area and city, they couldn't pronounce my name because of ethnic name, Lui Monung, difficult to pronounce. So that's why that they changed my name to Myanno or Nun or something like that. Anyhow, I'm happy. In the past, anyhow, Siama Auma used the wording of the Burmanization. So I will continue about that. No? Firstly, I like to focus the question of moderators that in 1990s, most of the young people are suffering a lot. We are suffering a lot, especially structural violence. Because of I'm Dang, I would like to express you that I would like to advocate you or and share you about our Dang. We Dang are living in the mountainous region. Our area, most of our areas are very far from town and a city. So currently, only you cannot find that much Dang in Chiang Mai. So that's, and also current situation according to the political and the conflict situation in Myanmar side. Most of our Dang couldn't travel to even Mandalay inside the country or to Tachalay, Mesai or Chiang Mai. We couldn't travel. So to join this event and also to join this morning I joined at the Federalism Leadership Program as a speaker. So to share about our Dang federalism, border-not federalism, how Dang are implementing the border-not federalism on ground. So that's why that I took the, how to say, high risk to come to Chiang Mai. So that's why that in 1990s, Dang people were struggling a lot in Chiang state, especially Chiang state. Most of our Dang are living in Chiang state. Most of the Dang activists were focused to free from the oppression and structural violence by the former junta. I don't want to use the government. We never recognize them as our government till today. until tomorrow. They were not our government. They were terrorists. They are terrorists. They kill many civilians, many people, and including the Burmese people, and also non-Burma also. So you all already know about the situation. I think I don't need to share much more. So you know that the history of the revolution. So my brother already shared, and my sister, Siama Oma, she already shared about that. So to focus the moderator question, that I would like to share a brief about my experience, real experience. When I was 9 years old, being in Daang. So as being Daang, so that's why that before military coup, I was invited by the an organization led by the democracy organization, focusing on democracy organization. They used that wording of the Tayanda Pito Bayale. It means that how we get the something being Tayanda ethnic. So that's why at that time, in 2019, I was invited, I joined that. To join this event in Kukai, I came, at that time I came from Northern Chiang State, so-called Northern Chiang State, now the Anglang, anyhow. So I passed the Kukai, Northern Chiang State. At that time, being in the you have to sit. And the sunshine at the 1 p.m. Too hot. 3 hours by the former hunter. So in our area, 88 generations led by Kubo, and also current PPP Kogoji also, they travel to our Daang land. So I shared them that about the Wada gate, means that the gate, how to say, the gate controlled by the Burmese Tamado, Burmese army. So near our Daang area, very close our Daang area. So in this area, there were many Daang and also Kachin, Lisu, diverse in our area, Northern Chiang State. It's the very beautiful and colorful, like my dress, today dress, colorful, beautiful, lovely. So Kachin, Lisu, Muslim, Nepalese, Daang. So even 88 generation, they didn't know about the Daang were under the structural violence. Not only the Semite Keoma using the Burmanization, but also we were under the majorization. So when I was 9 years old, I was born in Daang land by my Daang parents. So Daang land is inside, Daang land, stay to the Daang land is inside Myanmar. When I was 14 years old, I hadn't had the birth certificate and the identity card, although I was born in Myanmar. Because of being Daang, we were recognized by some Burmese people from the urban area and the former junta group. They recognized us, the Dabo, rebel, terrorists. So we were pushed back to the margin. Although we don't want to move to the, we never want to move the margin. Today, I don't want to express about our grievance because of we are moving forward to our, how to say, brighter future. So our Federal Democracy Union, democratic union. So that's why today, this morning, I present about the border federalism, Tang border federalism, and the federalism leadership program. So that's why I would like to focus our aspiration. So anyhow, on the other hand, when I was 9 years old, my parents were killed by the soldiers, Burmese soldier. The reason why I used Burmese soldier was that they were communicating in Burmese. Our Dang area, we never talk, we never communicate in Burmese, especially Homing village, Dang area. In front of my eyes, they were killed. Anyhow, in my backpack, this was one of my trauma. Anyhow, we need to focus. I remind myself, no, you have to focus moving forward. And then, so like me, there are many stories, like my stories, a lot. We couldn't count. Many. So that's why that the young people, now you can hear that about the Tang National Liberation Army. Before Tang National Liberation Army, so PSLF, Palau National Liberation Front. Before Palau National Liberation Front, PSLO, Palau National Liberation Organization. And then before PSLO, PNA, Palau National Front. The reason why my parents, biological parents, were killed by the Burmese soldier was that my parents were they were key members of the PNF, Palau National Front. You know that 40 years ago, 50 years ago, so the very small minority group in Myanmar, so he tries. So who could raise our voice? Anyhow, they try their best. They try to protect their people. Especially we are trying to protect our people. We are trying to protect our land. We are trying to protect our rivers. We are trying to protect our nature. Because of most of our food are from the jungle. Our bags and also everything are from the jungle. So here today we are protecting our nature. Anyhow, in the future, how can we protect? Anyhow, we are trying our best. So although my parents were killed by the soldier, Burmese soldier, so I was adopted by the single man, Korean lady, who was one of the key member of the KNU before KNU split, before Vaddhanaphuti collapsed. So that's why that she nurtured me. She was my shiro. Today in front of you, none is in front of you because of her nurture to me, and also many people support me. So that's why my adopted mother raised me up. So I got the chance to be a university student in urban area. So that's why that in 1996, so 1988 uprising, granted to our 1996 generation. So that's why that we raise our voice, and we are focusing the freedom of expression. So at that time, I was the final year's university student. So I was arrested and sent to the military interrogation camps. Till today, I couldn't remember the how many days or nights. I could remember that when I remember that I was at the hospital, prison hospital, I couldn't move, my mouth couldn't close, and I couldn't eat the food or water because of their torture, everything. So most of our friends, especially women friends, they committed to suicide. We couldn't, how to say, documents or record about that. They committed to suicide themselves, or they were killed, or they were tortured. We don't know yet. So anyhow, in 20 women students, we arrested in 1996, early 1996. So now I'm known, stay alive in front of you. I was released in a prison in 2002. So I was in the prison for over 6 years. But I couldn't remember the how many days or night in the military interrogation camps. The camps, terrible. I couldn't use the wording how to say, yes. So that's why that now I'm in the Dang Lang Council, one of the key member of the DPCC, and then now in the Dang Lang Council. So Siama, especially Ajaan Sirada already mentioned that vicious cycle. So I like to use the victimized cycle because of the young people, and also especially most of the minorities were, how to say, victimized by the majority in the Burmese, and especially the reason why I use the Burmese, because of the even in the quasi government period. So I was arrested in prison second time for 9 months because of 9 lolo. So this is the, how to say, new church by the ratified by the NLD government. So 9 lolo second time. So although we voted, even me, I voted NLD, although I'm down, so I voted, but I was in the prison second time because of NLD, because I express, because I believe that freedom of expression, that's my right. So since 1996, I practice freedom of expression. Siama Oma already mentioned that we have only pencil and pen. When I was arrested in 1996, even I haven't had the pen at the time, because the rector, he allowed us to far away from the university, outside of the campus. Run. So we, even pencil, we haven't. So as my active participation in the democracy revolution and the human rights education, at that time in 1996, we shouldn't express the wording of the human rights. Human rights, we shouldn't use. So that's why that I was 2 churches at that time, 5J, Nganya means that in Burmese Nganya. Nganya, we thought that at that time, we are university student. At that time, I was 22 years old. Very young. Very active. So 5G, in Myanmar language, Nganya. Nganya means that for 5 nights. So I thought that I will release after 5 nights. But not that. Terrible. Again in the prison. In being the not only 5G, but also 17/A and B because of Unlawful Association Act. I was church under the 17/A. So that's why that the event in Southern Chiang, I was invited in 2019. The title of the event was Tayanda Phito Ba Yadale, means that being Tayanda ethnicity, what we get. So this is now I'm sharing about my personal situation. So like Nun, there are many Nuns in our area. In Chiang, in Kitchen, in Taang, in Lisu, many. We couldn't count the stories. So in 1988, at that time in 1988 uprising, so by my adopted mother, single mother, she raised me. She took me to the Shotagong Pagoda, so to see the uprising about that. At that time, I was a high school student. So I think Kodan 9 standard. So at that time, and then when I back to her house, so we passed our school. So the soldiers killed, fired the loss of to the students. Many dead body in front of my eyes. So I have lots of questions a lot. Why? Where the government? Why they kill? They are citizens. So although I have many questions, but nobody answered. So the life answered me. So I can say that as you asked the moderator question, I can say that 1988 uprising, my brother mentioned about the 1962, 74, 76. This uprising, granted a seat, like a cease to the 1996 generation to continue the democracy revolution and to end the military dictatorships in Myanmar. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, all of you. It's like kind of reflection on whole life history, as well also personal history, political history, because it's basically kind of become one. I mean, you become political activist and then your own personal history also part or reflects the whole political history as well. So that is important. And for the next question, because clearly you have your own history, you from Oma, of course, from 1988 generation, and Nun is from 1996 uprising, and Ong Fomo is from 2021 uprising. So we see kind of it has been an ongoing struggle. And then just like twisted, I'm going to kind of twist a questions a little. So it's going to be just like, what is the one important lesson learned from your generation struggles? So each of you, just one. I mean, the most important one that you can think of, because you're from different generations. So maybe you have different reflections, but just super important lesson learned from your struggles in your generation. So okay, I'll give the floor to the Gen Z first, maybe.
Perhaps I think the most important lesson that we should learn from our current struggle is that it concerns about leadership, the concept of leadership. For me, I do not aspire to be a leader, and I do not aspire to be one right now. And in fact, what I aspire to be is to be a hopeful and diligent follower of my own fate. And Daw Aung San Suu Kyi once said in an interview, and I tend to agree with her, that she may be the figurehead of the organization, but the people of Burma, they are in this struggle not because of her alone. They are in this struggle because they genuinely believe in democracy and freedom. And they happen to put their faith in her because they are hopeful. They are hopeful that she can help them achieve greater control over their own lives and their political aspirations. So I think we sometimes in our struggle give too much importance to leadership, and sometimes it's confused many things. Like some right now, they are confused that since they are legitimate, I don't know what that means. Since they are legitimate, they are the most politically valuable organization there is. But for me, legitimacy and political value has nothing to do with each other. You can easily see that in our world, there are tons of governments and states legally recognized, which at the same time terrorizes on a large number of human beings. Do we say that they have any political value? I hope not. So legitimacy and political value are completely different things. Now, for me, what defines political value is rather hope. It is the hope of millions that have been put onto you and your organization and onto a cause that generates political value. It is hope. Now, of course, and I don't think one needs to be a leader to inspire hope. First, of course, the first step is you must be hopeful yourself. Otherwise, you can inspire hope in others without being yourself depressed. Now, I think this is the quality that is lacking in most of our leaders. I don't think they are quite hopeful because many of them have already fled to places far away from the revolution. That is not how you stay hopeful. And that way you can never inspire hope. I think that's a very important lesson that you have to learn looking at us. If you happen to have your own revolution, that is not to stay too far away from your revolution. Now, of course, it is difficult at times to stay hopeful all the time. I myself find it difficult because, frankly, there is nothing motivational in the reality of war, of course. Nothing motivational in that. But we must keep reminding ourselves that this is the path that we have chosen out of our own volition for ourselves, for our own freedom. In whatever way we may argue that we are forced into armed struggle, we are forced into armed conflict, as human beings, in the end, we are bound to take full responsibility for all of our deeds, for all of our choices. And in fact, this path that we have chosen, even if it turns out to be very painful, very insufferable, we must always remind ourselves that this is the pain that we have chosen for ourselves to endure through. And in fact, it is our responsibility to keep being hopeful to the end. Thank you.
Well, I mean, imagine of all those years. So if you ask me just pick one, it's very difficult, yeah. But I will try, no. There's so many lessons that I learned. But if I may choose just one to share with you today, would be to keep the people at the center of the revolution or the movement. In 1988, being the Buddhist Burma majority, we were the one at the forefront of leading, strategizing, mobilizing. I was one of those really mobilized for this today, the nationwide movement, for the people to really, put faith in us, in our call for the general strike to come out to the streets. So in my own understanding, being 20 years old student, along with my colleagues, as we were leading towards this 1888 mobilizing, we had a final wrap-up meeting yesterday in the evening, really to prepare the last stage for today. But what we missed out all along, of course, in our situation, under the circumstances, I would say it's naturally inevitable, is because country was really a closed society. The military really shut down, block us off from the whole world. We don't really understand the whole world, moving on. And in our own mind and understanding, we thought we were doing for the whole country. We were really doing for the change for the whole country without having any clue about, like I said, the ethnic people struggle for long, of the military's structural violence, or the Burmanization, militarization, violence, the structural violence that been imposed on the non-Burma ethnic community. So I didn't have any clue. Most of us had no clue. So what happened was, we were, in our mind, in our strategy, we're looking into the keeping the people at the center. But in reality, when we march on the streets, there were Rohingyas marching alongside with us, holding the banner. There were Mon, there were Shan. But guess what? As the majority, we didn't see them. They became invisible. In our own strategizing, in our own planning, we intentionally didn't include them. We didn't even realize that they were just alongside, trying to be, already showing, their contribution, that they are a part of us towards that larger country level change. And yet, as the majority, we didn't really see that. Yeah, I think to me, it's really a sad thing, as I reflected all along when I got to the jungle and all of that. Because really, for any revolution, I think we need to be able to come to ourselves also to see that whether I am involved in the armed resistance or non-violence / political defiance, or doing international advocacy, going out and speaking at the United Nations. But I think it's so important that we understand that we are all together in one. In our time, the major lesson learned for us is those of us young ones who fled across into the ethnic revolutionary areas were completely forgotten by those in the country who were following on the trap of the military's multi-party democracy system, where the military promised to hold the election, you see. So anyone who left in the country completely forgot. And then, even the leading politicians will say that, oh, we are non-violent. The armed resistance has nothing to do with us. We divide among ourselves. We should never do that. When we look into any people's movement, depending on how strong this centralized system constructed and dominated and controlled and run by the dictators, like in Myanmar, you cannot allow yourself being separate from your other colleagues who are perhaps taking other different paths in the revolution, be armed resistance or an artist. I think only when we see ourselves, our strength, no matter which contribution we are making, only then we see ourselves in that collective movement as we claim to be collective. We will become inclusive as we claim to be. Only then our strength will be all combined and inclusive. so that we can keep our general public people along with us in this revolution, so that they are not distant from us. I think it's important to keep the public momentum on regular basis ongoing. And I think only when we as the activists or social change or the change makers or the activists, different level, different generation, different, CDMers, non-CDMers, I don't get into non-CDMers, that's another, okay, CDMers and the student activists, unions, labor rights activists. I think all of us, when we also see the young PDFs fighting, taking the arms, who will ever imagine that they have to take up the arms at the age of 21 years old? I'm sure their future that they envision is to study, right? So I think that is, to me, it's a big lesson learned. And it's try to see the invisible within our movement, no matter how small that we may see as their contribution or how different their approach might be. I think that is what we need to really get into and hold on to. Only then we will succeed, in my belief.
Thank you so much for your favorable to me. So for me, listener, yes, especially we ethnic people community, we were excluded. Even in 1996 also, that I was under the two churches, 5J and 17/A and B. So that's why that I was not recognized as the political prisoner. So that's why that I remind myself, and also I advise and suggest to my ethnic and our leader, and also we shouldn't focus exclusion. So we have to fight to end the military dictatorship and also soft power. Exclusion, terrible. And also to build up the connections more. So although we have the loss of pain and grievance, so today I put it back at the bedside of my bed. So my how to say pain or grievance, or I put it on the road. So that although I was released from the prison in 2002, but 2002 physically, mentally I was not free from the prison till 2019, before I was in the prison for second time. Oh, terrible. This was more terrible. So when I joined with the RCSD as the research fellow, scholar at risk, so RCSD made a space for me and for us. They create a space for the reflection, so, and also experience sharing. So like that, I got the reflection that, oh, I was not released from the prison mentally. So I try my best to free from the prison, both physically and mentally. So whenever it meant that whenever we focus our target to end the dictatorships or exclusion, or end the exclusion or something like that, we never forgot we need to be in a space of the freedom to decide the freely decision. So that in Dang also, most of the Dang leaders have the loss of pay and grievance. And also PSLF TNLA leaders also, they lost their family members. So anyhow, after 2021, anyhow, thank you so much, new generation, 21 generation. We really, 2021, 2021, before 2021 military coup, we were in the box, like us, in the box. So we talk a lot about we hate Burmese. Burmese, they make us the Burmanization, majorization, something like that. So after 2021 military coup, many Burmese youth and also the mixed ethnic people, they from the urban area, they came into our Tang area. So we got the chance, jump in Tobo to reconciliation on ground. So the biggest, lesson learned is that reconciliation, real reconciliation on ground. So ethnic, between ethnic and also non-ethnic, or Burma and non-Burma. So, and religious diversity, ethnic diversity. So this is the, valuable for us. So we couldn't find in the university or some. This is real experience on ground. Thank you so much.
Okay, we still have actually quite some time left, which is good. So because we have one more question for each speaker. So who's gonna start first? You can start first as well, no? Noon, just okay, because each question is actually for each of you specifically. So for Noon, so the question is like how the urban resistance movement, like student movement, CDMers, or professionals, like urban-based resistance movement, help out or actually affect the self-determination struggles of ethnic people in the past, present, and future. So how do you think about it? And in the next 5 years, this is kind of, let's say, company HR question, but I actually want to know from each of you, in the next 5 years, what role you see yourself playing in all these struggles, like bridging between urban-based and also struggle of ethnic people for self-determination. So 2 questions.
Interesting. Good question. So after the 2000, I already mentioned about after the 2021 military coup, many youth from the urban area and city, they came into Dang area. Not only youth, but also CDMers, defectors. And after the 1027 operation, first part and second part, so some of the group, they used the prisoners of war. So we don't want to use the prisoners of war because of human rights and human dignity. According to the human rights and human dignity, we don't want to use their name like us, the prisoners of war. We use the defector, A group and B group. A group are real defector. So that's why the defect, we in our area now, we are implementing the local governance. So health, we are providing the health administration. So I can say that 3 pillars of the governance, legislative, we are trying to, we are trying our best with the legislative, executive, and judiciary. So under these 3 pillars, we are implementing the local governance. So health, education, civilian protection, and also including the immigration. So that's why blah, blah, blah. Humanitarian system also. So for realism in health sector and health, especially health sector, judiciary sector, justice sector, and the education sector, there are many. I can say that in education sector, there are about 200 non-Tang teachers are contributing in the Ang land. and also about 100 military health officials, including this physician, specialists, and doctors and nurses. They are contributing their time and energy building the federal units of the Ang land. So as I mentioned at the previous answer, that we are engaging on ground. We are doing the, how to say, reconciliation on ground. So that's why so sometimes if I would have the, how to say, nightmare, so regarding with the wood, so sometimes I had the nightmare because of, in the nightmare I saw that my parents were killed by the Burmese soldier because of they were communicating in Burmese. So in the morning I tried to express about it. That time, although I expressed, so when I expressed to the Burmese youth, they listened and also they felt sad. Then, so we try to find the final solution, how to say, destroy the victimized cycle. Ajaan Sirada used the vicious cycle. So that's why that anyhow I can say that on ground, that the Ang and non-Ang, including defectors, CDMers, and the PDFs, and also youth, especially youth, we are collaborating each other. So very, how to say, valuable. This is the valuable for the future. So we can say that I can confirm you all that we, as our belief and as our commitment, we are continuing our decision to end the dictatorships, military dictatorships in Myanmar.
Okay, maybe we can go to Omar first. Let's save the questions for for on phone more as well. So basically, well, I feel a bit ashamed because it really sounds like HR question, like human resource company kind of question, but it's just kind of share because we talk about personal and political history that to a certain extent it kind of becomes one. As long as you still committing yourself to the cause of struggles, to the cause of revolution. So basically how you actually see yourself and possible scenario for democracy in Myanmar in the next 5 years as you part of the struggles since March 1988.
Well, Mook, I got this question so many times in my life as I keep doing this advocacy for Burma, Myanmar. At one point, I actually stopped answering that because mostly every single time I got the question with a 5-year term. I'm just kidding.
We can give it for tomorrow.
That's okay.
How you view yourself tomorrow.
But I mean, it's good, right? It's a good reminder when people ask us to us who are struggling for the change. When our people, friends from outside ask, it kind of gave us a reminder of where we are, just to reflect where we are and where we might be actually heading. Sometimes, we're not so sure where we are really heading. There are things, like situation like that could happen. So I take it as a positive way. But what I want to say is like, I kind of stop answering in a specific way when I'm asked with that question is because the more that I walk on this path, which is my lifelong commitment, so as long as I'm still alive and I'm able to do something, I am committed to do something. Whether I would change the real turning point of democracy or the real light at the end of the tunnel before I leave this world, I'm not so sure. But it's important that I actually have this, like a torch in me that will keep me, give me the light to keep on. And what I learned throughout is that as I come to learn more of our ethnic community struggle in particular, I realized the different layers of this structural violence or the structure that constructed by the military. And I realized by then, this struggle is going to be a long way, right? So for me, I go with depending on where the generation. So now, for example, like with the 2021 Spring Revolution generation, I take the back seat, of course, in the supporting role. I'm trying my own way to really transfer the knowledge or the experience as much as I can. Is also because you cannot transfer the knowledge when the young generation may not be ready to receive from you or want to hear from you. Because in our time, I remember thinking like, oh, our previous generations, they didn't finish their job to get rid of that military. Now we have to do it. So why do we have to listen to them? I'm not saying the young generation now is like that, but I'm just saying that is a possibility, right? So I'm very cautious. So I don't say things that I'm not asked to say, or I don't share things that I'm not asked to share. However, I make myself, at their disposal for any time and anything that I can be useful. So that is with me now, which I see myself continuing in the coming time. And I think the way that I also see is that this movement, compared to our time, you have reached so far, all of you. You have reached so far to the point of this Burma Buddhist majority, young generation and previous generation, this intergenerational movement, together with the ethnic, non-Burma ethnic communities, intergenerational movement, but joining together in one force, but still needs, have gone so far with this homegrown political transformation to the point that Myanmar military is almost on the verge of collapsing. But they're not collapsing yet. They are still, having a stronghold in Naypyidaw, where now, from them also, you need to see from their side. They need to survive too. In order for them to survive, they need to defeat the people's resistance. That's their job. As much as we need to defeat them. So in this struggle, for me, is as much as I can share. For example, like the so many old playbook of the military's tricks and manipulations. Young generation never had a chance to learn. It's something that people like us can share if they want to hear. For example, now the military is speeding up with trying to regain the territory that they lost to you guys. Because they need to ensure that they are able to hold this quote-unquote election, right, the sham election, so that they can save their future through this election. There will be a lot of political tricks and risk coming towards the people, those who are studying abroad, those who are working abroad, migrant workers, students, professionals, CDMers. They all will be approached by so many different ways, because only when they can kind of like, crack us, divide and rule us, they will be able to move forward with their own political objective to stay in power. So I think that's where I see that we need to be really prepared. Like I shared that in another event just recently, especially the young scholars studying abroad, including at the CMU, I will encourage you all to come together beyond your current research and study to really look into the practical frame of the new Burma, new Myanmar. Because in our time, we didn't have the scholars. Our university was only in the jungle at the blessing of the Korean National Union. Now you have a chance of studying in Chiang or Chula or Mephalong, but this is the time. The people of Myanmar, or those fighting, your brothers and sisters fighting on the ground, will need you to really get into the face-to-face, head-to-head, prepare a package of how you're going to rebuild that free, a new Burma or new Myanmar that is free from the military tyranny once and for all, as you have claimed from February 2021. I think this is the time, because something that I learned from 37 years of my work, of course, what you can never get again in life is the time that you spent or you lost. Spending is one thing, but if you lost the time, you cannot get that time again. And how do we ensure that we are not losing the time? How do we actually move along with the time so that we are 2-3 steps ahead of this military? I think that is where I see myself. Keep gently sharing as they want me to share. If they don't want me to share, I am not sharing. I'm just kidding. Thank you.
Could you favor me because of I forgot to answer your second question.
Oh.
So briefly, this is known as activists, young activists, as human rights defender and human rights, promoter. So I will continue my freedom of expression, and also especially we ethnic people, we love to engage with others. So that's why that. So next 5 years or after this event, I will back to Dang Lan. So most of my time are in Dang Lan. So we have to engage with the PDFs, Burmese people, the people from the urban area and the city, and so we try the connections stronger than stronger. Most of our young people, we haven't have the passport, legal documents. That's our problem. So that's why that I will be in Dang Lang next 5 years or next month. So, and also we are building our federal unit, Dang Lang Council. So that's why that to participate in the federal union. So that's why that, and so we are trying. We are not perfect. We are trying our best. So we have to work more and more. We have no day off. We have no night off. Thank you so much.
And because, okay, it's kind of the same question, but because you still very young, let's put it this way, so I give you 10 years. So how you feel yourself and possible scenario for democracy in Myanmar in the next 10 years?
But whether it be 10 years or 5 years, my answer is very simple and very short. As of now, my country, and also for me also, we have no future. But what I believe in and what I'm absolutely confident about is that in our ability to create a future. And that's the only thing that we should be confident about. And about the questions about the future, and there's the questions, most of the questions that are being asked about the future arises from the anxiety about the future. And it's mostly about the anxiety that the revolution may somehow be neutralized or subjugated. But I have absolutely no anxiety about the revolution being neutralized or subjugated. Let me give you my reason. Now, I certainly do not believe, even for 1 second, that our revolution will be neutralized. But let us sustain, what if the revolution gets neutralized or subjugated? My answer is very simple. We will try again. We will try again. And history teaches us that if one revolution got neutralized or subjugated, there will always come a time for another one. When the time is right, our people will rise up once again. They will try their aspirations once again. And I'm absolutely sure of that. And what if they fail again? And they try again. They will try again and again, until the last remnants of authoritarianism is get ridden off completely out of our country. So that would be my simple answer on the future. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. I wish Thai youth is gonna be in this fighting spirit, but okay, then it's another topic, so we keep it for another discussion. But yes, I mean, I run out of questions, so thank you very much, all the 3 speakers. Very inspiring, very motivating, and we can learn a lot from you as well. Talking like an outsider, but keep watching closely, and then your struggles, your revolutions also inspire us here a lot. And then we keep working together until we win together. Thank you. ใช่จะมีอาจารย์จูใช่ไหมใช่แต่ว่า you okay one last thing.
Yeah, just very last thing. Just why I actually joined the young generation of this, like, the revolution will not be, like, what is the word you use? Neutralized, yeah. But if I may share from our time, when the military use a lot of tricks, that's why I keep saying, like, we need to actually share the military tricks with the young generation. Not everyone's, not undermining, not anyone, but not everyone's political stamina is as high to push back. Because the military, even as I speak now, they started to send their people to reach out, because you see they are preparing for the election, right? So basically what they really want is to actually hold this sham election so that they can tell the whole world, they can tell Thailand, ASEAN, UN, oh, there's an election. There is no longer the military junta. In fact, they already changed the name, right? They changed the name from State Administration Council to State Security and Peace Commission. I'm like, okay, guys, it's the same old book that they are playing, trust me. But in that same old book, what we need to catch up is for all the young generation to get really, like, prepared and ready to push back. The world need to hear from all of you. This election is a sham election that you are not going to accept. The world need to hear from you. The ASEAN and UN need to hear from you that you are not doing nothing, but you are really trying and working hard from the ground, that you are building a new Burma already, without them. And that is what we all need to speed up, and then come up with a package to bring the world on board. Look, the solution for Burma, Myanmar, is not with those guys in uniform or their allies and proxies in Naypyidaw. It is with you, us. And that is where the movement need to take 2-3 steps ahead. Because as much as we won't compromise, I mean, you can imagine all my life when Burma Myanmar opened up in 2010-11, I was one of the very few minority left in Mesot. Nobody is there anymore. Everybody returned in the opening of Burma Myanmar democratic transition. But like you said, I didn't give in. I carry on. Then there are more who join me. And then later on, keep on. Once the military show their true face again in 2021, all the young generation join again, right? But the point is, like I said, we should be 2-3 steps ahead. In that, I think we have a chance to advance the revolution from where they are right now, because I think there is a future. You already have a future. It's because of your own collective effort. But you can do far more than where you are now. To me, is something I so inspire. I am so proud and inspired of the young generation and their time. Is there are so many strength and opportunities that your generation has now that we didn't have. I think this is the first time this military never collapsed to this level. They were never shaken up by us, but with you guys, they have gone shaken up a lot. Let's take the next step, push further, but we need to be more strategic, collective, and be more proactive than where we are. I think that's all I want to say. I hope you will, it's not like I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's just, I think you have a better chance than us. I think you don't have to
Yes,
go
of course.
like another cycle again, you know.
We do have a better chance, but it's only to mean that we should not have some kind of historical narcissism. Historical narcissism. As human beings, we always like to think that we and the historical moment that we are in seems to us to be the most pivotal and pivotal out of all the historical instances, as if this moment is really going to decide everything about the past. Of course, it has a chance of being that important and being that decisive, but just don't be too historically narcissistic. Just to remind ourselves that in the end, as every historical moment comes to a close, we sometimes tragically learn that this moment that we are in is only a step towards something greater, maybe something like that.
This is very beautiful discussion among different generations. A lot of challenges, but a lot of inspirations, and we do hope for the future. Not only Myanmar, no, also Thailand. And I hope that the Thai people also learn a lot from each other. Let's see. And we still have one speaker นะคะ อาจารย์จุ still with us อาจารย์นฤมลทัพจุมพลนะคะ สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์ อาจารย์ sitting with us since 1 p.m. นะคะ and I think she is also from 88 generation, and she has been helping those generation, and now a lot of students come from after 2021 that she has been helping again. And I would like to invite Ajaan Chu Naka to reflect as activist plus the academic, and then how you feel, how you see, and how can you reflect from your perspective. ค่ะเชิญค่ะแป๊บหนึ่งนะคะเสียงยังไม่เข้าค่ะสักครู่นะคะแป๊บหนึ่งค่ะอาจารย์ checking technical อาจารย์พูดอีกครั้งได้ไหมขอลองเดี๋ยวนะเสียงสะท้อนโอเคค่ะอาจารย์ลองพูดอีกครั้งได้ไหมคะค่ะได้ยินแล้วค่ะขอบคุณ
ได้ไหม
แกไม่พูด
ได้ยินนะคะ Can you hear me
มันไม่ดังมาก
ได้ยินนะคะ
เสียงมันไม่เข้าใช่ไหมเหมือนเสียงไม่เข้า
โอเค Can you hear me โอเค sorry ค่ะ
เหมือนเสียงมันไม่เข้าซูม
I will share Zoom let me try to Zoom เดี๋ยวนะคะ
เหมือนเสียงมันไม่เข้าซูม
ได้ยินเสียงจาก Zoom ไหมคะ Do you hear me
ไม่เข้ามาเลย
ค่ะ
ซูมก็หลุดด้วยเหมือนเสียงมันไม่เข้าซูมมันเหมือนกล้อง
เป็ดได้ยินเสียงพี่ไหมคะเสียงจำจุ๊บไหมคะเสียงซูม Do you hear me ตึงI think for democracy take time anywhere
ผมฟังจากไอ้เครื่องมิกของเขาคงอาจารย์ได้เสียบเลยที่ถอดแกะ
sorry ค่ะอ่า ค่ะ can you hear me รู้สึกจะไอ้นั่นหน่อยโอเค sorry ค่ะ I cannot go to Chiang Mai so cannot join the event อือฮึโอเคค่ะ ได้ยินไหมคะ can you hear me or the Zoom and the translator โอเคค่ะ ค่ะโอเคค่ะ Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and I'm really glad that I'm able to join the 88th generation, and also the feeling since I'm from the old generation teacher, so I will start by PowerPoint. I have around 5 slides. I think I'm similar to Ajaan Sirada that we always have to start with the PowerPoint and also with the idea. I was asked by A to reflect the 3 presenter on 3 questions about how 88 legacy have an live on my personal. Yes, I'm also nearly the same generation, and some of the 88 generation member or leader are my friend. And also, what do I learn? And then I will reflect from I listen to all of you. So basically, I will start with the music. I think Ajaan Sirada has already translated the music. So we go with the music that we always start by when we heard about 88 generation with the Kabama Jeu. So Ajaan Sirada already translated the English into Thai. So let me start with the music, and then I will reflect that when I learned about this.
Til verdens ende, historien skrevet med vårt blod. Revolusjon. De som tapte livet i frihetens kamp. Å, kjære helter, tilhører vår nasjon. Deres mot skinner. Fordommer, de har sviktet deg, vår bestefar. Kin og sand. En hel nasjon er såret, og kjære far. Hvordan våger de? Ser du våre helter? De sovner i fred.
Maybe tomorrow will be a better day. Maybe tomorrow will wash blood away. Maybe tomorrow ends another way. Maybe tomorrow so I sit and pray. But until then, all I really have to say, they've got their guns, but you got your lungs. Don't let them silence your voices, don't hold your tongues. As long as you stay together, they're the outnumbered ones. Let's unite fathers, mothers, daughters, and sons. They might be marching, but we're marching too. In the hearts we're bleeding, and we hope that you will make it through. You might be losing your hope, not knowing what to do. Just hang on, to give up, we all believe in you. Cause tomorrow might be a better day. Tomorrow might just wash the blood away. Tomorrow might just end another way. Maybe tomorrow so we'll sit and pray for the injustice to stop, for the end of your pain.
Democracy type where do my chas on
I start with this music. This was written for the 88th generation struggle, but you can see from the video that the situation in 2021 coup and the situation there. So, I mean, with the first reflection that how the 88th generation reflect on me, I would saying that the situation that is reflect to me is related to the feeling that I feel in my personal. I mean, because it's during my student. Actually, I already graduate, and the Dear Burma has been set up because of we held the 88th generation. So basically, when we now speaking in 2025, we can see that the 88th generation seen as the most apparent of the youth political movement, and also it's not only the street protest but also democratic activism and the way we do. And you can see with this music, which is sung by Myanmar Gen Z. So you can see the 3 languages in Norwegian, in English, and in Burmese. So for me, when we talk about how the 88th generation have an impact, you can see from the music itself that even the music have already written long time ago, is still applicable. And it's still applicable both in my generation, which is now I'm older than Kin Oma, so we are nearly the same generation, or I even older. I also listen from Ajaan Sirada, Seeing Mook, and also another 2 speakers. So we can see that the 88th generation, one of the spirit is linked to us, is that the spirit for not give up. And this is the spirit of democracy. Whether we agree or disagree with the method, I think it's very important and it's applicable to us. And I think this is the legacy that we learn. We didn't learn the legacy as a history, but we learn it, how does it link with us. And I think this is also very important. And I don't want people to see that, okay, this is an old generation, this is a Gen Y generation or Gen Z generation, but I think one of the spirit that across generational contestation with different generation is that we're talking about the idea of democracy and the different version, or maybe the same version with the common version that we want democracy. And one important lesson that I learned from the eighth generation, I also come with the poem. It was written for one of the 88th generation who got the death sentence. His name is Ko Jimmy. I met him during the 2013 and 14. At the time, they changed the flag from peacock fighting to peacock dancing. So we visit the 88th generation student at that time. Before that, we even have a chance to visit Daw Aung San Suu Kyi. 1 year, I mean, after she released from house prison, house arrest, and also before she come to Mela camp and to Bangkok. So we can see the feeling, which is Omar already mentioned, during democratic reform, that we hope it change. But then we can see that from the high hope, and then we see what you call the spirit that has been in despair, in a sense that those who are our friends, who decide that they will work out with the peacock dancing, and he himself have to fight against the dictator, and he got the death sentence and he died. And in the poem, one thing that I remember that with that spirit that he wrote in his music is that he see the dictatorship is the day that we catch a cold, or maybe a flu right now, because it's such a long time that we are under 3 years. It's going to be 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, now 5 years. for the dictatorship, and then you can see a number of people who die with the military, I mean, repression and atrocity. We might see some name during the access to information, but we might also see more with those who fight as the PDF and die in the jungle and other. So I think one thing is that when we're talking about the important lesson that we learn is that due to the current situation, it might be similar what Omar said, that we also need to be cautious that, I mean, even though we talk about democracy, it doesn't mean that the Myanmar military will allow you to do so. And also, even though right now we see a different change, that we see a lot of ethnic organization that work with you and join. I think one thing that the important lesson that we learn is that we also need to, I mean, unite. I think one thing that we have the situation in 2020 and also when happened in 2021 and when we link to the 888 generation is that when we're looking at those who are in power, they also have a certain area or limitation that they may agree or not agree with us when we talk about limiting their power. And I think one reason for the coup and also right now up until now, many people can disagree with me, is that they see that a certain space that they allow had been reducing. And for them, as we can see that you might see a fake election or maybe election plus. And this might be the debate that how are we going to deal with this and whether the pathway that we go through with armed struggle is going to be the sustainable way or not. I think this is the one that we might have to discuss separately after the 888 generation commemoration day. But one thing that we learn is that when we talk about the change, we also need to see that they also have the resistance against the democratic change, and that's a kind that we are fighting. So what I learned from this, for me, when I seeing on the situation in Myanmar, I see that one thing that we when I study in Myanmar, one thing that we still see, and sometimes it reminds me of Thailand, is that we can still see the integration between a certain network, kinship, and religious membership. I think before the coup, we also learn a certain way, and I think Thailand may also have a certain way that we are finding out with the issue of religious, the Mabata in Myanmar, the fight against Rohingya, the debate that the Burma base or Burmanization. But I think everyone learned that in some way we have different, we try to talk about how to create a common. But if you look at the conservative side of Myanmar, they have the integration of trust network, which is I'm not sure whether we have or we don't have when we're looking at our different ethnics. The second thing we also need to see that in Myanmar, we still have some problem of the inequality, a certain kind of major categorical inequality. I remember my friend Ong Myung Min, who is now member of NUG, when he talked about equality Myanmar, talking about equality in terms of gender equality, but I'm not sure how it's happened. I don't think it changed much, both inside of Burma side and inside of the ethnic side. The debate between ethnicity, the issue of class, and the issue of different religions in Myanmar. And I think this kind of factor that affect our democratization. So for me, when you ask me about next 5 years or 10 years, I think this issue between the integration of the trust network of the conservative and the major categorical inequality in Myanmar, as long as you are under a kind of the concept or a kind of inequality in terms of class, in terms of the concept. I think this is a thing that we are still fighting, and I think this is also effect in the public politics, in public policy. And I try to see several special administration that has been organized in the liberated zone, that whether this kind of situation change or not, and I hope that I can see some change, because that will be the one that we are able to create a real federal democratic country. The last one is the autonomy of those who hold a weapon. And I think with those who hold the coercive force, meaning the military, the talang, the special police, and also those who are intelligence unit, is still unaccountable to us, to the people, to civil society. And I think this is a key factor that affects the way for democratization. So in my case, the possible scenario for democracy in Myanmar that will be related to these three factors. Whether these three factors are we able to overcome? Can we reduce? Can we talk about unity, internal democracy inside our own organization, in our own generation, in our own, organization? And I think this is the one that will make it us more sustainable and fight against the military. I think one thing that we might also need to admit that right now we have one common enemy, but we don't have yet common vision or common strategy. I'm not sure whether federal democracy in our mind are the same or different. Are we agree with arms? Are we agree with foreign policy, military policy, currency, education, and welfare or not? I think this is also debate, is still debating. But one of my important point is that although we're talking about claiming more territory and fighting for the claiming the status in order to have more bargaining power, but I think this kind of factor need to be discussed, maybe internally, quietly. It no need to put into the public. But I think if I will the possible scenario and to see, three of you who are the speaker, and I hope I would like to put this kind of question into your mind. The second thing, I think we are now, we don't hold a weapon, we ourselves. So the only way we can do is we are in the public sphere. And in the public sphere that we can do is that how do we pull public opinion to support our agenda. And I think I'm glad that we are in the digital generation, in the digitalization era, that everyone can be our own, citizen, journalist, and you can also connect with each other. But also on the other hand, we might also need to discuss that what kind of the main agenda that we want, and how we pull opinion, how we create an audience, and how we publish our opinion through our digital media and other way. I can see a lot of program that talking about click for donate, click to wish, this and that. In some way, decentralization is good, but decentralization have to come with the democratization. And in that case, maybe I think with those we talking about democratization. So in that regard, the public sphere might be the one that decisive factor for us, that what will be in the possible scenario and what will be in the role. I can see three of you still play the role as the leader. And I think the one that all three of you do is to create the public opinion with the support democratic agenda. And in that case, we also need to discuss with the public sphere how to do with that. I know that the military has been what you call retreat or lost in a lot of battlefield. But on the other hand, with a lot of the economic power, with a lot of the armed trade and also other, that will be the one that we also have to prepare and to fight on this. One thing that we can see a lot, and I think I don't need to show with the music, everyone can listen, is on the YouTube. I think the one that is very strong and character that I can see from different generation, from baby boomer during my time until generation X, until generation Y and Gen Z. So we can see that the issue of education, art initiative, and local resilience is very important. And what I can see that to make the 5-year plan is possible, that is will be the youth movement, the combination, and that can put on the digital platform. And I think maybe the link between digital platform in terms of fighting can bring about the support. And in that case, I hope that in terms of the different unit and different ethnic area and different group, maybe the one way that we can create an inclusive is the way with the, with the role of Chiang Mai, with the role of Burma concern, and the role of Thai and several other organizations. I think the one you do is the educative process, and also bring in with a lot of initiative with arts, with formal, non-formal figure, and also a different kind of thing. And I think the most strongest that we can see from the Myanmar earthquake is the local resilience. This is a strong point that is also reflected in Myanmar, and that will be the one that will support you in a sense for democratic transition. I don't know. The transition is long, so many people doesn't like the word transition. But I think this is a process that for democratization and especially federal democratic country that Myanmar want to achieve. And in each generation, for me, each generation can see that, although we are in the different generation, but as a leader of your generation, I feel that in the new era is a certain essential form in order to understanding the struggle for democracy. I think those who are fighting for in the PDF, that is very less information. Those who are doing for the non-violence, those who are doing for the dialogue or interfaith, and also dealing for the fighting. I think right now, we are not the victim anymore. We supposed to think that we are the change maker. Yes, it's costly, but how to be yourself in terms of the leader of generation. I think we have to change from the being victimized to be the game changer, or will be the change maker. And I think this is the thing that may have to discuss, and we do not need to wait for the leader. And I think this is the one that we also need to discuss and also have to do on this. I remember after the many people doesn't want me to talk about CDM anymore, but I think a certain speed of Mingonai, he is a friend of mine, and I think I still like the one that he speak after the coup, and he's saying that the first one for ordinary people is no recognition. And I think right now, when we see about the possibility of election, which is even though it's a fake election, I think we also need to discuss that how to do that. No recognition, no participation. Many people already mentioned that it will affect our purpose. So I think we also need to find a more innovative way how to deal on this issue. And I think the way we do right now to commemorate the 888 generation is that we do a certain kind of campaign, and also we do it in a different languages so that we can still bring, although the international community may be too much overwhelmed with their own economic problem and also their own, agenda. But I think one thing that we have to keep in our mind is that it will, a long way to go, and you also need to keep on is that. So I think in that case, what I really like to, quote Mingkonai word is that request ethnic people to collaborate to build for federalism and also to bring the Burma and the ethnic. I think that will be the debate. Right now, I disagree with him for the mandate or the legitimacy of 2020 election. Many people may disagree because that too much Burmanization. But for me, the issue of election at least is the peaceful transferring of power. So for us, what kind of the federal democratic country look like, you might also have to link with the people mandate, with the how people decide, and the only way to do is not by arm, but maybe by consent, and the one way to create a consent is through election. So, and I think I agree with his word that do not suffer lifelong slave with the small offer. Some might agree for the small offer by the military dictator and agree to join. So I hope some will also remind of this. And also in that case is the one that be a human with the basic right. And I think this is how the urban-based resistance movement can put or can create an effort that we should be a human with the basic right. And as long as you don't have the right to, freedom of movement, you don't have the right for the freedom of expression, you don't have the right in a certain kind of your liberty. So in that case, it's no point of talking about the election. But how to do that? Apart from not only in terms of the boycotting election, I'm not sure whether boycott is an answer or not, but maybe everyone not go to vote or vote no for the whole country. That may also be some way, because some area may not have a problem with their own life, their family, if they do not if they decide not to join. I think people already face an issue of not only resistance, how to survive in the difficult time, but endurance, how to endure yourself during the difficulty of your time. And I think this is one thing. To go back to the discussion, I will end with, actually, this is a song wrote by Sam and Sin A with the Burma concern. I still like this song. It's called We Are Friends. And I think for us who join with Muk, the 2020 protest, I think the word We Are Friends is very important, that in that regard, we are friends. And in that case, for us to commemorate the 888 generation, the one that we should talk is that we, as those who are in the political movement with the new era as a new social movement, is very essential for us in the understanding. For us, those who are Thai, we need to understand the diaspora, political diaspora, and cross-border community, rather than feeling, only among yourself. I'm really worried about the nationalism that happened in Thailand. And for those who are in the diaspora, I hope that you open mind for the different ethnic that already inside Chiang Mai or any other city, because they also face the same situation from the military. So in that case, the digital technology during our time has been expanded for our several platforms. So in that case, we should use it for better communication rather than limited our own way or our own echo chamber. And I hope that several platforms that have been used, several Facebook group, several Instagram signal, and also any should be able to use it for, better communication. You can decide which one is for public, which one is your personal organization. But I think we also need to create a same unity with the voice, and that it should basically imply to explain that how local people inside Myanmar, local people living in the ethnic struggle area and their livelihood and their resilience mean. And in that case, we can do for them both online and offline. So for me, I'm try not to be academic. So for me, as those who are in the baby boomer generation or in the nearly the same time with the 88 generation, I think the one we see is that we are friends, we are support each other. And in that regard, we should be able to together and to walk. So I would like to end the talk with the song that's called We Are Friends. I'm not sure whether, let's see, can I find that? One more minute. Yeah. I think I also try to use technology, but I'm also not good in technology. I think I'm not the one with the, Gen Z generation. They are better than me in a sense that they are able to do more than me. Mm-hmm. ได้ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ ได้อยู่มาแล้วได้อยู่มาแล้วพี่อุตสาหาเวอร์ชันพม่าค่ะโอเค thank you I think โอเค done okay I share screen okay my last presentation with the song I'm still listen to this music whenever I feel that is what you call is the feeling that I need to when I feel that I'm really in a bad shape. So I think this I hope this music go. Can you hear the music? Yeah, okay, the one more minute. Okay, I have to share sound. Share sound. Okay, and that's it. Okay. Okay, thank you. I hope that you have a high spirit after listen to music. One is Ajahn Sirada already translate the Kabamashiu. So, with 88 and Gen Z. Yep.
Minute for my microphone ค่ะได้ยังโอเคเนาะค่ะ thank you very much เอาเดี๋ยวนะคะแป๊บหนึ่งหลายเครื่องโอเคยังกล้องอยู่ไหมโอเคนะ so the song was originally in Thai and it was composed by a Thai activist band called the Commoner. And then after 2021, the Thai and Myanmar activists translated into Burmese. Born in Burma band, be prepared. Na? We should sing this song together between Thai and Myanmar. And this, I think, this very good voice from friend from Kalyana Mitra like Ajaan. No? We are. It's a kind of transboundary impact, but impact in the political ways that we all have. I'm Gen X, this Gen Y. Why? Because in my generation, it was 2007, the Saffron Revolution, and then like this. So it's also changed my life in my generation. And we Gen X, only two of us now. But I think, not me, no. But now I think most of the people left here are Gen Z. And maybe we open the floor to listen to our friends here too, the young friends. You look very serious in the back. So we are friends, we are together. You are here in Thailand and this is a safe space for you to be together with us and sharing and hopes to get from those reflections and discussions and questions. I think we should definitely bring it in the future to have more discussion about maybe Thai and Myanmar friends in the future, that how can Thai can support and how the Myanmar friends can also use us as a friendly space in order to discuss. And please let me open the space to our different gen to maybe reflect from your feeling, your thoughts, or whatever you would like to share with us, please. Yes, you can be in Burmese or Thai. We have translator. All right. Yes, please come to the microphone, please.
Hi. Yes, it's okay. Thank you for this wonderful space, and I I value all these conversations and knowledge sharing today. I'm Yetet. I'm working for organization training and violence movement. So I have a question to Siama Keuma. You mentioned this approach of this all together. We should never divide this approach. So I think it's inspiring. I think it's on one hand I agree that we should be all together against a dictator towards democracy and freedom. That's good. But at the same time, I feel that also I have a little concern on that approach in such like you mentioned non-violence and armed resistance they should not be separate. So I understand on like you mentioned NLD not belong to armed struggle. So but for me realistically like CDM movement for example, if CDM associate with NUG and if CDM associate with armed resistance, they have very limited space to do certain organizations and other strategies. So in practical reason, in other part of the world also, non-violence movement need to walk under the dictator space. So they somehow need to be separate in terms of technical purpose, not on the philosophical or political standpoints. So I just want to clarify it. How will you draw the line between all together? Because if you say like everything has to be all together, sometimes we cannot have diverse strategies. How to create a space for tolerance and understanding between different groups. Because what I understand is that right now the civil space inside the Myanmar and the exile space become separate more and more because there are different ways of doing things, different space, different approach. So how will you build tolerance and understanding in these situations? Yeah, thank you.
That's a very good question. Thank you, Go Yetet. Go Yetet. Okay. First, like let's start with the point that you talk about the civil society, yeah, or the democratic civil space or the civic actors. I think your last point is those who are outside the country and inside the country, right? I think that's one dynamic, in my opinion. One, not actually based on my previous experience too, it's always this dynamic. When you have a movement, some actors are in exile, meaning cross the border in other countries, starting from Mesot all the way to Chiang Mai or to the US. Then those who remain in the country will see that they are left in the country, regardless of what they do, whether they do their charity work or whether they take up the arm. They will see those of us who left the country and from outside, no matter what we are trying to do from outside, they will see that we are so far away from the ground, from them. They are the one who have to struggle within, which is true. So you will always have this one dynamic in general between those inside and outside. And the longer the revolution takes, that gap become wider, which happened in our time as well. This is even, you have a even more potential of that gap getting wider is because basically, at least in our time, because there were no internet, people didn't really know what we were doing. They will learn from like Democratic Voice of Burma or VOA. Like they will probably see my face sometimes, in the coffee shops in Yangon, but they don't really have a chance to know. And for those of us who are outside, so I mean, like on the border areas, I mean, I don't know, like some of you knows that there is this student army was formed called the ABSDF, right? I was one of the earlier members in the ABSDF. Many of us actually moved to the other direction after some times that we realized that the armed resistance is not our strength, including myself. So I actually moved into the other direction to see like what are the other ways that I can continue to be involved in the movement. But the point that I want to link to this armed resistance is, I don't undermine the armed resistance, because in the face of such political violence, like if I may go ahead and give you the example, no matter how a father, like every single day meditating and praying to the Buddha and using the rosary and repeating the sutra of the Buddha's teaching, when his house is robbed, when those who rob the house not only rob the people, not only rob the materials, what if they try to harm his children, try to even like sexually abuse the women? The father who's holding the rosary and praying to the Buddha have no choice but to take up whatever is in the kitchen to defend his family, no? So I think like for that, I hope you will take a little bit time of my response to this. What I'm trying to say is that when it comes to the point of resisting or responding to that such state level political violence from the state level institution like the Myanmar Tamadol, there are times that some people will have to take a different path, like what General Aung San did when the country was under colonial, British colony and Japanese occupation, right? So what I'm trying to say is that the non-violence movement or the non-violence actions are always necessary. It's always necessary because not everybody will take up arms, and also at the end of the day, it is not the armed struggle that will resolve the crisis or that will actually rebuild the society, heal the trauma that has gone through, and then move on to the next stage of this rebuilding and healing process. However, in the people's movement, the armed resistance is one of the way people sometimes find inevitable, so that they have to take up. So my response to that is, when people have to choose that, like those in Sagai, they don't have a chance to even come across to Myawaddy or Brigade 5 of KNU control area to come across to Thailand. They are stuck there. So will they allow the military to completely wipe off their villages, or will they actually take up the arm, whatever they have to fight back? So I think that's to me, it's a right to self-defense as a basic instinct of every human being. And that we need to be, as the non-violence movement, who believe in non-violence movement, need to actually, in my belief, is the non-violence movement people need to, if not appreciate, but need to actually understand and respect that choice. To me, that's the respecting of the choice of those who had to take up the armed struggle. In that case, what my point is just the same for the ethnic communities, like the Karen. So in that, as a whole, Burma, Myanmar, to move forward, armed struggle has been a part of our long struggle against this military ever since after the independence. So we need to just recognize that. But I'm not saying that they need to be mixed. I'm not saying that like those who are doing the political defiance or armed struggle, at one point today they become armed struggle, doing the taking up the arms, and then the next day they are doing quote unquote a political defiance. But my point is the forces between the two cannot be kind of like seeing each other as separate forces, like the National League for Democracy or other political parties has done in the earlier 1990s. Because by keeping ourselves distant from each other, that we actually are not strengthening ourselves. But I'm not saying that they need to be able to kind of like work together or not drawing the line. But then if you go and ask those non-violence teachers, like if you notice some of the PDFs who are actually going with their guns, but then they have the just ordinary civilians. so villagers who are actually doing their regular demonstrations and protests, you will hear, at least from some non-violence teachers, you will hear that it is actually the armed resistance is giving the protection to the non-violence. And that is not like, it's not something like we should be completely like, oh, you know, like because they are doing the arms that we cannot be staying away from them. It's not like that. I think that is something that in the struggle like our country, that we need to be able to kind of see that. And then those who are with the arms resistance will continue the armed resistance. But then at the same time, those of us who are not doing the armed resistance, first, especially like people like us with the human rights, both practitioner and advocate, what we would like is the armed resistance not to become like the military. So we need to hold them accountable to the people,
so,
right?
I understand, and I am not undermining the armed struggle. I'm just saying that there's an enormous polarization happening in this revolution in CDM and CDM. And in the future, in the next year also, in the next year, it will happen also. The forces who are going under the election and the forces in the exile will be separated. So, do you have any way to reconcile or seeing them? Are you able to see them as an ally or enemy, going under the election groups? What do you think?
As I was saying, I'm already seeing that as a risk, already a danger to the whole movement, because it depends on how, like, it's a human nature, no? I have to say, like, because in our time, after 20 years, people felt like, you know, when the military said the country's going to be open up, whether they trust the military or not, just the natural human human instinct response is like, we want to go back home. And we didn't have any passports, unlike this generation. There were no scholarships. There were no ED visa or anything like that. Meaning, when I say this, there is no reason for the military to impose the pressure on outside, because we don't hold the passports that is under them. Do you see the point that I'm making? But then, when the time comes, there are people who respond in a way is like, we want to go back. Then do we actually say no to them? Of course not. It's individual choice. Do we blame them? Of course not. Because when the time comes, there will be people who will make the choices. You will see it. You will see it. As I say it now, remember my what I shared today, and see if the military is able to hold the election by next year. You will start to see that the walls from outside started to collapse. That's why I'm saying that you need to be well prepared. For me, what is more important is that we keep building our political stamina, meaning like, how do we believe in what we are doing? And what are the ways and means that we can continue to hold on to one another, that we will keep pushing this militaries, you know, imposing of another facet, and then that they will come back to rule us under their boots. Knowing that, how are we going to actually block that or prevent that? And I think that's something not every one person can, or one organization alone can do. NUG alone cannot do it, NUCC alone cannot do it, TNLA alone cannot do it, or KNU alone cannot do it. It has to be all of us. So in that's why I'm also saying that the armed resistance and non-violent political movement still need to be synergetic in their strategy. It doesn't have to be on the ground marching together thing, but their strategy needs to be synergetic to tell the world that the option for Myanmar for a long-term solution is not those sitting in Naypyidaw who will hold the sham election, but it is the bottom-up federal democracy that already has been built, that we all need to lend our hands to support it, whether we are non-violence or political defiance or the armed struggle. I think that is, to me, it's so important, because I see there is a potential of the history repeat, but could be in very different way, no? Because you guys have a time, the whole world open to you, that you have opened to the whole world, where you are still very much connected to the ground, where your brothers and sisters are fighting in the country. In our time, we didn't have any of that. So I think it's it's easier for the military to divide and rule us and crack down on us. But I think we cannot be naive at the same time. It's because they have many ways. I mean, now you see that already. They are already pulling the artists, actresses and actors, right? Like Yang Ao and whoever, right? Will go greet and meet and they will become the propaganda, right? So the people at the center will be pulled on both sides. So how do we ensure that people are not being, like a imposed of such measure so that they don't have to be bearing with that? But there will be many under the junta's control areas. They will have to comply with regardless, because that's what happened in the real politics when the time comes like that. And that's the very reason that political or the armed resistance movement forces or the revolution forces need to be coming together sooner than later and take 2-3 steps ahead of this junta to really utilize among themselves. So I know I share a lot, but I hope that you see the point that I'm making. I know that you are in agreement with me in not undermining, but that's really is the point that I was making. But go beyond that, not undermining, but appreciating each other in that different approach, that we need to be together.
Well, on the question that do we regard those support the election or join the elections as enemies or friends, I think for me, I don't regard them as enemies nor friends. That the correct term would be simply ignorant, because do the obviously fake elections that the junta said they are going to have a very simple response. Accept the elections if you want, go vote if you want, but I'm absolutely sure that it will change nothing. It will change nothing. We had elections in 1990s. We had another elections in 2010, another by-elections in 2012, another elections in 2015, another elections in 2020. It changed nothing. Why do we think it will change now? And also about the big talk about negotiations, peace talks. There have been no single moment in the entire history of modern Burma where peace talks walk out. So why do we think it will work now?
Thank you. I think it will be ongoing question and discussion among you a lot. And we still hope that if we can support anything, please let us know. But I have to be on time a little bit. And yes.
I hope, if those of you who haven't seen are interested in, please look up in the Democratic Voice of Burma. I put up a long 2-session essay last year, Chaos as an Opportunity for Burma at the Crossroad. I really would like to encourage, because again, it's just my own thoughts based on my own experience. I really see that our country never had this level of chance or the opportunity to move to the real change, no? But if we don't know how to manage it, if we don't know how to prepare ourselves, the opportunity once missed become missed opportunity, right? We don't want that to happen. So I'm not with the anxiety, but it's not the anxiety, but I think it's important that we don't miss the opportunity. So what I would like to propose is, what I propose in those different series of writing is that we need, I call as a people-to-people dialogue. I have shared with Ajaan Chayan, Ajaan Ning, PA, that we would like for this kind of we could be even more in the in-depth discussion among us to see what do we do, how do we prepare ourselves, so that we are not just feeling, knowing of what is coming to us, knowing of that's not bring the solution, not going to bring any solution, but then what is the solution that we want to see achieved, that what are we going to do about that? How are we going to prepare for that? I think that is something that I would like to also encourage all of us. Maybe we can have more of that kind of discussion in the coming time.
You mean to say that we should not be so overconfident and also not so underconfident? So we should be somewhere in between overconfident and underconfident. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and definitely we have to keep hope to make change together, no? And I will give the Gen Z to make a kind of marketing a little bit before we will close.
I'll do the advertising. Oh. I think I'll not explain. No, it's you can. So this is the University of Yangon Interim University Council. So they are providing education for CDM students and jobs for CDM teachers. So if you have time, you can check the things that they have set up, and check and buy if you want. Do not buy if you don't want. Just buy.
Buy if you don't want.
Okay.
Okay, and
So
the
check
last, I would like you to give this to your auntie, sisters. Please, you can, I prepare one for each, naka. As a souvenir. I buy, I pay. Sister, no? Okay, I think it's time to close, but never ending discussion, I hope, and then we will continue this kind of space, and I hope that this will be starting or continuing again between Thai friends and Myanmar friends, that we can have this kind of people dialogue. If the same, but also Thai friends, no? As Mook, also Ajaan Ning, so we have been working also together with the Myanmar friends, that we would like to continue our mission together too. And today, thank you so much for our technical team. Thank you for translation. Thank you for our technicians, and thank you everyone that joining us today. And see you next time, naka. Jesutin Bade. Thank you very much. ขอบคุณค่ะ